والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So a few weeks ago we spoke about, all my topics are about youth. I was, just a quick introduction, my name is Fairfield Rabi. I was born in Mississippi down south, and my parents immigrated from Bangladesh, and by profession I'm an engineer. So, and I have 2 children, and I'm married for 18 years. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. So, a few weeks ago we talked about some things that help the youth, from my perspective and my observations and being involved with them. One of them is having a good environment. Specifically, your households are fine, because alhamdulillah, mashallah, you guys are all praying. So that's fine. You know, nobody's watching bad stuff or drinking or doing anything bad on their homes. That environment is fine. But for example, their friends, having good Muslim friends that they can pray together with, that's all part of the environment, which is very important. Basically, when becoming good at something, there's generally speaking 2 components. One of it is practice, one of it is knowledge. Usually knowledge is first. There's knowledge and there's practice. So if somebody's studying medicine, they'll study for 4 years, and then they'll go for a residency for 3 years. If somebody is doing, working at Amazon and they're writing software, maybe they'd study software in college, and then after that they'll work, and then they'll do on-the-job training. Everything, basketball, everything. It's like, it's knowledge, and then it's action. So having a good environment is action, because then you're practicing Islam with other Muslim kids. That covers that component. But then there's knowledge. And this actually should come before action. This should come before practice, but it's knowledge. So a few weeks ago, a young person, he was 9 years old, he asked me, he's just a year older than Omar at that time. He asked me, right, he said, why are we Muslims? The Christians, they say that they're on the truth, right? The Christians say they're on the truth, and the Buddhists or the Hindus say that they're following the truth. Isn't this true, right? Everybody's saying, like, this is true, so why are we Muslims? This is a Muslim kid, he asked me that. I'm glad he asked me. So then I asked some other youth, I gave him a response, but I'm just curious if somebody wants to raise their hand, like, how would you, I'm just going to pick one person, how would you respond to this? If the Muslim kid asks you, why are we Muslim? Right? Because if the person was raised maybe in a Christian household, they'd just be Christian, right? Or they would be Buddhist or agnostic. So why Islam? Omar, you want to say something? What is it, Omar? بالعربي أو إنجليزي ما في مشكلة.
We do like all the right things, and we like spend our time in the Quran.
Yeah.
And go to the Jannah and pray.
So yeah, I'm going to summarize. You said we do all the right things, and this is true. But I'll tell you something. If you're familiar with the Book of Mormon, this is a faith that started in 1820. They actually are very similar to Muslims. They don't drink alcohol, they don't do caffeine, they don't do drugs. They also do a lot of community service. And their book hasn't been changed since 1820, pretty much. It hasn't changed. So then, why not be a Mormon then? They're doing good stuff, they're not drinking alcohol. What do you think, Rashid? Well, you were in the halakha the other day, okay, you don't count, right? So, all right, this is actually a very important thing. When I was growing up, as a teenager, right, when I was like in my teens, I told my dad, I was like, I don't know about Islam. I don't think it's that cool. This is what I told my dad when I was a teenager, because I was just some American-born, spoiled kid, right? And so, the thing about it is, from a knowledge perspective, this is something that, many of us already know. At the time of Musa alayhi salam, right, if you were present at the time of Moses alayhi salam, you could see him when he put his staff down and then the sea parted. You could see when the frogs came, the jarad, the locust, the dem, and then there was like 5 or 6 other things. At the time of Isa alayhi salam, Jesus alayhi salam, he said, I'm from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would heal the leper and the blind person and bring back the dead to life. So if you saw it, The reason that these people are doing these miracles, alayhim salam, these messengers, is so that you know that they're speaking the truth. It's authentication. Just like when you put in your password into Yahoo or Google, or if you bring your passport to the airport, that's authentication and validation of that you are who you claim to be. You bring your driver's license, then now you know who you are, right? And when it comes to the miracles that Isa alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, all these messengers brought, this was to prove to them, the people, that they are who they claim to be. Those miracles, if you weren't there to see it, you didn't see it. I didn't see it, you didn't see it. None of us saw it. So we heard about it and we read about it in the Quran. But our Quran, this is a miracle. It doesn't stop. It's a continuous miracle. It's a continuous miracle. For 22 years, the Prophet ﷺ came with amazing speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with no mistakes. He doesn't come back, and it's not a surprise. He says, in Surah An-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Don't they reflect upon the Quran? If it were from somebody other than Allah, they would have found many mistakes in it. All books have mistakes. I have 2 master's degrees. Every paper that I've written in my entire life has a mistake in it. Punctuation, wording, there's not one thing that I wrote that I can't go back to, including my emails, text messages, anything. There's nothing that I've written, or you've written, or the doctor's written, or anybody's written that you can't go back to and fix it. There's nothing. Imam Shafi'i, they say that when he wrote Ar-Risala, that he revised it 27 times, and then after that he was like, I'm done fixing it. There's no book except for the book of Allah that doesn't have mistakes. For 22 years, and it's no surprise that this verse I mentioned, it's from Surah Nisa. If you go in Surah Nisa, the mathematics in Surah Nisa are amazing. The inheritance, right? And it goes to the entire, from page 2 and 3, and then the last page, it continues the entire inheritance. It's very, very complicated. If you have a son, if you don't have a son, if you have 2 daughters or 3 daughters, if there's no sons and daughters and there's no parents, if there's parents and there's children, every scenario has been covered in that. The Prophet ﷺ didn't come back a week later and say, hey, here's a new revision to it. I made a mistake last week. That's what a human being does. This is why people convert. I was on the phone with a convert today. He's been a convert for like 20 years. He's an imam in New Jersey. This is why they convert, because there's no mistakes in it. That's why they come to it. And that's what I told that 9-year-old. I was like, you're not going to find anything without mistakes. And it's something that you really have to keep thinking about. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in the Quran, فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِهِ وَادْعُوا شُهَدَاءَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Come with a chapter like it if you can. The best minds from the non-Muslims and Muslims of Arabic study the Quran for Arabic purposes, to find, just to learn the language. And so, if a youth has this knowledge and they have a good environment, inshallah ta'ala, subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect them and guide them as they go against this difficult peer pressure in society, and everything that we go through over here. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say, is that there's knowledge component and the environment component. Both of those things have helped me, and I think will help the youth in general, to be good practicing Muslims, inshallah ta'ala, in this country. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك واشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك.
جزاك الله خير مدرس سمير. بارك الله فيك. Wonderful, mashallah.